Now, like every year on the 20th of August, we all wake up to newspapers and other forms of media completely flooded with pictures and advertisements of Rajiv Gandhi. It is, of course, his birthday today, and perhaps maybe this year, especially on a day when the rupee has hit 64, the pound has hit 100 rupees, and the euro is at about 85. And of course, the economy is as bad a shape as it's possibly ever been. Maybe that's hurt us all just a little bit more, and that's why on the social network today we discuss Party Pooper. Is it time to ban party ads which are funded with tax money? Now, for many of those of you who are actually wondering how you can actually find out how much the government actually spends on these ads, but at least the taxpayers' money, let's quickly take your gaze towards a website. It's the website of the Directorate of Advertising and Visual Publicity, and let's bring that up for you on your screens. And it's actually very easily accessible. There you go, it's on your screens. And for example, what you want to do is, if you want to look at how much money was spent on Rajiv Gandhi's birth anniversary, that's point number 7 on your screens. And you can pick the year for which you want to look at the expenditure for. And you click on show, for example. And if it takes a little bit of a while to load, but there you go. On the first page, it actually shows you that the Sadbhavna Divas, which is what the 20th of August is actually called, the amount spent is a little over 25 crores. So there is a certain amount of transparency in that. You can go to that website to try and find out all the details of the money that's spent, which is your taxpayers' money. But of course, then there are of course many others who get a little bit more excited from different ministries who want to find favor with the government, and perhaps they go and try and fund themselves through private agencies as well. In fact, I just want to actually quote Ramchandra Guha, who wrote in 2010, and he wrote, the best and perhaps only way to understand these advertisements is that they're statements of loyalty and devotion on the part of men and women who owe their jobs to the wife of the man they were seeking to honor. The size of the advertisement may be taken as proportionate to the minister's insecurity. The larger the ad, the more he or she feels the need to signal his or her devotion to the first family of Indian politics. And let me see how many of our panelists actually agree with that. Let me start by introducing Mona Das, who's a professor of political science from the Delhi University. We've got Somnath Bharti, who is a candidate for the Aam Aadmi Party, will be fighting in the upcoming Delhi elections, assembly elections, and of course Tehseen Poonawala, the founder of the IndianGovernment.com. And also joining us on the phone line, we've got with us Vipul Mutkal, who's a journalist at the Center for the Study of Developing Societies. Okay, Mona, to you first. How much of that statement that Ramchandra Guha actually wrote in 2010 do you think is still applicable today?
I think it's fairly applicable, though when we talk of government ads, we need to make certain distinctions. That advertisement can have its own value in terms of political communication. So any government has to communicate with its people. Now, the point that is contentious is that what is being advertised? Is it government schemes? Are we talking about, things that the government wants to communicate with people, or is it just about eulogizing leaders on their birth and death anniversaries and eulogizing specific leaders? So, for instance, if you look at the spendings on advertisement by government on remembering leaders, we know that maximum amount of money is spent on remembering Mahatma Gandhi, followed by Rajiv Gandhi, and then comes Ambedkar, and then comes Indira Gandhi, and then comes Nehru. As though Nehru, I mean, if you were to scale prime ministers on in terms of achievements or in terms of their relevance to politics, Nehru would definitely, even for Indian people, Nehru would qualify more than Rajiv Gandhi. But why it's Rajiv Gandhi who comes on the second point? Is it because there's a particular perception that you want to send out at this point of time just before elections, or because a successor has to be connected, and in public perception that has to be connected? So that's something that the government of the day will have to answer.
I think there's absolutely no logic in what Mona says. Now, let me answer each thing specifically. First of all, with what you started, the fact that you went to this website, which is the DAVP website that showed the money, shows how transparent this particular government is. And the figure of 25 crores is about all ministries. DAVP ads go from all ministries. DAVP as all ministries. The figure is for all ministries. So that's point number one. This shows that this government is absolutely transparent. Number two, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, please understand, is not a political figure of one party. He's the former Prime Minister of India, a person who's laid down his life to uphold the integrity and the sovereignty of this country. He's a martyr. Now, coming to your point, Ramchandra Guha is a decent writer. I like some of his work, India After Gandhi. But the fact that everything that Ramchandra Guha writes does not make it the gospel truth. He even talks about presidential form of elections as an alternative, which is not possible. So, everything that Ramchandra Guha writes is not the gospel truth. The fact of the matter is that when you talk about different ministries giving advertisements, say about Mr. Rajiv Gandhi or about any other Prime Minister, it's not about the individual. It's the work that the individual has done connected to the ministry. Just an example for the Ministry of Road Surface and Transport. It is Mr. Rajiv Gandhi formed the NHAI that built all these highways today, which is the backbone of the Indian economy. Or it is he who brought in the Panchayat Raj, thereby giving us the federal structure, which today Parliament is being adjourned on.
Nehru, of course, got us independence, but I'm just going to throw that across to Somnath. I'm just going to throw that across to Somnath. Somnath, one of the reasons, like I said, I began the show by saying that one of the reasons why we're all outraged by perhaps more than any other year on social media, of course, you're a very active participant on social media, it's gone into a complete tizzy. Everybody is talking about the economy being in absolute doldrums. And at that time, for a government which has already been under attack for many scams, for many, instances of corruption, is this, can you connect the two and say that perhaps when politics is so largely about perception, this is coming out all wrong?
See, first, if you look at the way the government is spending the money on advertisements, on building the sort of political atmosphere to favor them in the upcoming election, whether they spend money on Bharat Nirman ads or they spend money on advertisements around their leaders' births and deaths, or they spend money of the kind which Mayawati has done, 40,000 crores in memorials, in statues on which Supreme Court had come very heavily. I always would like to see Gandhiji's talisman, which he had given to us as a nation. He said, the moment you do a thing, whether it's right or wrong, will be decided by only one thing. Is your act going to be benefiting the poorest of the poor or not? By no stretch of imagination or rational, this advertisements, which today I was seeing 9 full-page advertisements in Times of India, 5.5 in Hindustan Times.
Yeah.
I don't understand the logic behind it.